What's up, guys, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about how I went to 38 concerts in 1 year. I'm a huge concert goer, and I get from people all the time that you go to too many concerts. Now, I know there's probably people out there that do a lot more shows than I do, but 38 concerts in 1 year is a lot of shows, and it's a lot of legacy artists. Trying to go see a lot of these legacy people because of their age and how they're getting older. So I'm trying to get a lot of these legacy guys out of there. Sprinkle a couple other ones throughout the year also, but a lot of it's a lot of legacy guys because, like I said, they're getting older, they're getting up there, so you got to go see them while you can because you never know when they're done touring or just they might pass away or whatever, you know. A big concert that stands out to me that I saw in I think it was 2017. I saw Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers 40th anniversary tour. I saw Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and 3 months later Tom Petty ended up passing away. Tom Petty wasn't that old. Obviously he had hip problems, and we later found out that he had pill problems too because of the pain that he was in while he was touring. So you just never know. These guys could just stop touring or just, you know, pass away at any given moment. But anyway, so there's 1 year out of the almost 10 years I've been doing this. So on average, I go to about 10 to 12 shows a year. There's 1 year that stands out the most. That was the 38 shows in 1 year. We're going to go through the list. I'm going to talk about some of the shows, talk about my experiences of what I can remember, and yeah, just kind of go through it. But first, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know if you like this style of video. I could talk about more shows I've been to. Like I said, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. It helps out so much. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. This is a graphic design and music channel, so I like to throw in just experiences since I'm constantly going to concerts, and it's just one of my favorite pastimes and hobbies. I just enjoy going to concerts so much. Let me know if you like this style of video, and we could talk about more stuff like this in the future. So the year was 2022. I went to 38 concerts in 1 year. We're going to go through the list of shows that I went to. Like I said in the beginning, a lot of them were legacy acts. I have a couple cover bands in there. It was just a very busy year for me when it came to shows. Okay, so for the month of February in 2022, we have John Mayer and Elton John for February. So those two shows, Elton John was a postponed show from COVID times, which is crazy that it took 2 years for him to even come back into the area during the COVID stuff. It was for the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road tour, and it was an absolute killer of a show. The lights, the sound, just Elton John in his presence with his Gucci shirts and everything else, with his sparkles and big glasses. I mean, it's Elton John, man. How can you not love him? That was a huge show that I was super excited about, especially because I was waiting 2 years just to see him. John Mayer, that's when he came around for his solo acoustic tour, which is really cool of a show. Not many artists come around and perform acoustic songs in an arena. It just doesn't really happen that often. So having John Mayer come through and play some of his great songs and just show his absolutely outstanding guitar playing on acoustic, it was even cooler. Yeah, he took some songs and stretched them out and did all kinds of crazy stuff with them. You can definitely see his influence with the Dead now that he does his solo shows. You can see the influence of the Dead there because he stretches songs and he makes them breathe, and he just always expanding on his music and his catalog, which I love seeing now in his later years of being an artist. It captures you and just makes you really appreciate the music just a little bit more, especially me being a Dead fan. I just, you know, I really appreciate it. Okay, so the following month we have Felly, which is a rapper out of Los Angeles. He kind of has like a Mac Miller kind of vibe to him. If you've never heard of Felly, I would definitely recommend checking him out. He's got a lot of good records. One of my favorites being Mariposa. Yeah, just a great all-around show. Smaller venue, more intimate. This one was at the Foundry in Philadelphia, which is like almost like a Brooklyn Bowl kind of vibe. Pretty cool show, pretty dope. Definitely recommend checking out Felly if you've never heard of him. The Ledbetters, that's a Pearl Jam cover band. I found out about these guys literally as soon as COVID was just on the brink of letting go there. We went to a brewery. We really wanted to hear live music, and at the time these guys were just coming up, and they were only playing to a couple people. And like I said, COVID happened, so like it was still like, you know, everybody was keeping their distance and everything. But these guys absolutely blew the roof off of this place, man. Blew the roof off of this place. A great show all around, especially letting loose on after dealing with COVID and everything. Seeing these guys perform live was just absolutely phenomenal. So went to go see them again in 22, which was a really awesome show. I've seen them like 5 or 6 times now just because they're so good live. Like their sound is almost perfect to Pearl Jam's. It's honestly crazy. Next up on 316 was Brit Floyd, which I was always back and forth with seeing Pink Floyd cover bands, and this year specifically I was like, that's it. Any Pink Floyd cover band that comes around, I'm gonna go check out, because I was like almost in withdrawal. I needed to hear Pink Floyd music. It's been like, it was a while since I've listened to anything, you know. I haven't seen Roger Waters at this time for a while. I haven't seen David Gilmour at this time for a while, so I just needed to get that Pink Floyd fix. So I went to see Brit Floyd for the first time, checked it off the bucket list, and it was a phenomenal show. Perfect way to start the beginning of the year. Next up, 3 days later, I saw Tame Impala. If you've never seen Tame Impala, next time he's around, Kevin Parker doesn't tour that much, but if he's ever around, make sure you go see a Tame Impala show. It's like psychedelia mixed with just electronica music, but it's like got that guitar grunginess to it. Tame Impala is absolutely killer. It's like the Beatles mixed with, I don't even know how to describe it. Just listen to Tame Impala if you've never heard them. Tame Impala is awesome. Kevin Parker is the one that makes all the music. He's a solo artist essentially, and he's just phenomenal. The lights, the sound, all of it. It's a trance, it's a trip. Definitely recommend checking out Tame Impala. The following week, I ended up seeing the Eagles, which was an absolute bucket list of a show. It was the Hotel California tour. They played Hotel California front to back. Absolutely killer of a concert. The Eagles, they sound great. Glenn Frey sadly passed away a couple years back, but the guys, they still sound phenomenal, dude. His son Deacon was there, and Joe Walsh was killing it on guitar. Don Henley was absolutely slaying on the drums and the singing. The Eagles, phenomenal. They actually were just at the Sphere not that long ago. I highly considered going to check them out, because I'm sure that the music would sound great there. But yeah, the Eagles show was really cool. Next up on the list, we fast forward a little bit in the months. Next up on the list is AJR at the Man. AJR, that's one of my fiance's favorite bands. I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan of them, but I'm definitely a fan. They make great music. The brothers absolutely kill it on stage. I definitely have grown into a fan of them because I've seen them a couple times now thanks to my fiance. So I would highly recommend checking them out too. It's three brothers, and they make good music. They make hits. It's just alternative poppy, but it's got some fun aspects to it, especially their stage presence. They have a really fun stage presence, and they keep really close with the crowd, which I always think is really cool. After AJR, 5 days later exactly, we had The Who. Now, The Who, I've seen one other time previous to this show, and at this show, they absolutely killed it. I saw it at Citizens Bank, which is an outdoor baseball stadium, the last time, and the sound was a little muddy and very distant sounding. This show absolutely blew the roof off the place. Roger Daltrey and his vocals were spot on. Pete Townsend and his guitar were spot on. They just sounded phenomenal. I mean, the sound was so full and just in your face and packed a punch. If you ever get the chance to see The Who, they're on their farewell tour right now. I highly recommend them. They sound great for their age, and Roger Daltrey hitting those high screaming notes, it's just, you have to experience it in person to understand what it feels like. Great show, great show. A couple days later, finally we're in the June, I saw Coldplay at Lincoln Financial Field, which is a big football stadium, and that show blew my mind. Coldplay wasn't necessarily one of those bands that were on my bucket list. Obviously, I grew up with Coldplay, and I know all their songs, basically. That was one that my fiance was like, no, we should check out. And I was like, I mean, you know, they're relatively younger. They're going to be touring for a while, which is actually funny because they've just been on a hiatus now for a couple years. So, I mean, I guess it's a good thing we saw them when we did. But that show was awesome, dude. They had these bracelets that you wore, and they lit up, and, you know, they were doing all kinds of crazy colors, and the lights were dancing in the crowd and everything, and way better than I anticipated. It was awesome seeing everybody singing and dancing in some of the songs, and it was a beautiful sight, man. Colors with the bracelet and the way that the lights were dancing around the stadium while these guys were also putting on a great performance and the light show and all that stuff. It was an unforgettable experience, and I will admit that through and through. I was shocked with how good Coldplay was live. At the end of the month of June, that's when things start ramping up. I mean, we have a lot of concerts back to back to back. So we had the Doobie Brothers on June 23rd. After that, we had Motley Crue and Def Leppard on June 25th. Now, the Doobie Brothers was very good. I always go to Doobie Brothers when they're around. Great show. They sound great live. I recommend going to see them if you can. Always a fun time. Motley Crue and Def Leppard, that was an interesting one. So this was a show that got postponed 3 times, I want to say. It was supposed to be in the beginning of 2020 during COVID times, and then it got pushed back so many different times. And then finally it lands here 3 years later, almost 2 years later, excuse me. This show was great, but it was almost like people were so pent up with energy that like they just had to let it loose. I got puked on at this show twice. Person in front of me puked on my shoes. Person behind me physically puked on the back of my legs and my shoes later in the night. I had stuff thrown at me. People were hitting beach balls. One of them got spiked at me. I dropped my beer can all over the floor, all over me and the people around me. It was an absolute shit show of a show. Def Leppard killed it. Joan Jett killed it. Poison killed it. And Motley Crue killed it. Other than Vince Neil, like almost bumbling through his way with the music, it was kind of embarrassing, to be honest with you. I think this was before he started working out and really focusing on his health and himself as a person. I haven't seen him since then. I would go back and see Motley Crue, but dude, it wasn't, between all the stuff that was just going on around me, Motley Crue coming out and then just fumbling through a lot of the stuff. I mean, the coolest part was watching Mick Mars absolutely annihilate that guitar and just play every solo, you know, through and through, and That was awesome to watch. But dude, getting puked on and all that stuff was not fun. But all in all, it was like 98 degrees that day. We were all sweating, and all in all, it was a good show. I just wish that some things would have panned out differently. Wild, wild show. The next day, we saw MGK when he was doing his pop punk tour. That was an interesting one because I seen MGK in smaller venues. I grew up with MGK, you know, rapping and all that stuff, so I see him in smaller venues. So seeing him in a big amphitheater environment and seeing all these new fans coming out and supporting him, that was just a wild experience. All in all, good show. You know, we had fun. A lot of friends went to that concert, and it was just an all-around great show. I mean, and I don't even think he's toured since, which is kind of crazy to think about. I know he's done festivals and stuff. Yeah, he's got to come back. I'd totally go see him. Okay, next one is one that wasn't my favorite. Once again, it was my fiance's choice here, so I went to go see Big Time Rush. They did put on a good concert. As a music fan, they did put on a good concert. Not exactly something I would go out of my way to go see. Really cool thing was that Rick Astley was in town, literally like right next door at Wells Fargo Center, where he was performing there the night before. So Rick Astley came out and played Never Gonna Give You Up with Big Time Rush, and I'm telling you, that was so cool. The crowd absolutely went wild when they kicked into that jam. So awesome. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that one. So next up, we got Dead & Company. First show of the season, Dead & Company. Absolutely phenomenal set list. Killer of a show. Dead & Company, there's nothing you can say, or you just gotta go see them. They're phenomenal live. Just go see them. If you love jam band music or just music in general, go see Dead & Company. They just announced their Golden Gate Park shows. I think they're sold out now. Just go see Dead & Company. They're phenomenal. Shortly after that, literally a week and a half later, I saw the Black Keys. The Black Keys are phenomenal. Just bought concert tickets for them this year. I'm going to go see the Woodstock Grounds in Bethel, New York, and I can't wait to see them again. That show was phenomenal. Just like this one that's going to be coming up is going to be phenomenal. I know it. Black Keys, go see them. Great rock and roll. Okay, after the Black Keys, we're into August. I went to go see Box of Rain, which is a Grateful Dead tribute band. Obviously, I guess I saw Dead & Company and was like, that's it. I got to go back and see some more Grateful Dead music because I was probably got a notification about it. Somebody probably sent me that show, and I was like, yeah, let's go check it out. Why not? Box of Rain, great cover band. They played some great music. They played all of Europe 72 because it was the 50th anniversary at the time. So great show. All around great show. That was August 4th. Literally the next day, I went to see Roger Waters on the 5th and the 6th of August. Roger Waters, saw him twice. I usually go every single time he's around. Doesn't matter what it is. I'll go all 3 nights. I'll go all 2 nights. Whatever he's playing, I'll go see. I sat on the floor for one night, and then I sat in the 100 section another night. Great show. Roger Waters is legendary. I mean, it's Pink Floyd music, dude. You have to go see it. At least for me. Pink Floyd is my go-to, besides the Grateful Dead and maybe like the Rolling Stones, but Pink Floyd is my go-to. Whenever Roger or David or anybody is in town, you go see them. So yeah, Roger Waters back-to-back nights, awesome. And then the week later, I saw Alice in Chains, Bush, and Breaking Benjamin. Great show, Alice in Chains, even though they don't have Lane no more. Alice in Chains still rocks, still sound exactly the same, and they just do the music so much justice. Jerry ripped on the guitar the whole time, and I'll say even Bush was pretty good live too. I was shocked about that because I heard a lot of things that his voice was kind of getting, you know, a little different as he got older and everything. They sounded great. Okay, so literally 2 days later, Styx and REO Speedwagon. Some old heads at this show, but actually fun fact, Styx and REO Speedwagon was actually one of my first concerts I've ever went to. Back in I think 2003, I was so young. My parents took me to a concert at Great Adventure when Great Adventure used to throw concerts. Yeah, we sat right on the speaker box. I kind of remember it a little bit. I do remember getting a guitar pick, which was pretty cool. I mean, that was one of my first bands, so it was kind of like a full circle moment when I went to go to this concert because I haven't seen them in so many years. So they killed it. Great show all around. The next day, Wiz Khalifa and Logic. Now that, when it first got announced, was absolutely shocking to me because, you know, Logic is in his own lane, Wiz is in his own lane. So seeing these two together was kind of weird at first, but I mean, once you go there and you're having fun and there's a bunch of people having fun around you, I mean, it just fits right in. I'm a huge Logic fan and I'm a giant Wiz Khalifa fan. I've seen Wiz probably 7 or 8 times at this point. If you ever get the chance, go see him. It's just good music, good vibes, and it's just a good time. 2 days later, I saw Rod Stewart and Cheap Trick. That was up in North Jersey. That was a killer of a show. Rod Stewart at the time, he was almost 80 years old, and I'm telling you, he was shaking his ass up on that stage, having a good old time, man. Both Rod Stewart and Cheap Trick, they're up there in age, but they still rock and roll, man. Rod Stewart, I know, is on tour this year. Sadly, I'm not going to go see Millennium. The ticket prices are a little bit too expensive out of my price range. This show wasn't that bad, but it was an awesome show. Highly recommend going to check them out if you can. 2 days later, Santana, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Now, Santana, I absolutely wanted to see. Earth, Wind, and Fire, they're obviously cool. They're legendary. They've been around for a long time. I'm telling you right now, Earth, Wind, and Fire almost blew Santana off the stage. They were both great with their performing. Very loud, proud, and out there with their music. Santana killed on Black Magic Woman and Smooth and everything. But Earth, Wind, and Fire, when they kicked into September, that whole place erupted, man. An absolute killer of a show. I had so much fun that day. We had a bunch of people around us. A bunch of friends went to that show, and it was just good times and good vibes. It was awesome. Exactly 6 days later, I went to go see the Beach Boys down the shore in Wildwood, New Jersey. If you guys are not familiar with the shore, in New Jersey, we have a whole line of shore towns right on the water, and Wildwood's one of the big ones next to Seaside and Cape May and Asbury Park. So it was pretty cool seeing the Beach Boys live down the shore, where basically that's where you would want to see the Beach Boys. If I'm not seeing them on the West Coast in California, I'd rather see them on the coast of New Jersey having a good time. That was a great one. A bunch of family went to that one. It was just a big party. Okay, the following week we went to see 21 Pilots. That was an absolute killer of a show because that was a Scaled and Icy tour. Scaled and Icy has a special place in my heart. That's a really great album, and I've seen every show 21 Pilots has put on since Blurryface, and it was just another phenomenal show. 21 Pilots is great. If you don't know the lore of 21 Pilots, I definitely recommend getting onto it because they're about to be coming out with a new album soon. The Clancy tour just wrapped up. You got Tyler Joseph and Josh Dunn. They both absolutely kill it on stage, put on a great show every time, and it was just awesome. Literally the next day, September 3rd, went to see redhotchilipeppers in Citizens Bank Park, which is the baseball stadium. Now that John Frusciante was back in the band, that was literally all that hype. When John first came back to the band, that show was an absolute go-to. As soon as they announced it, I was like, I'm there. I'm absolutely going to see them live. It was just a good time. That's it. That's it. Go see him. Go see him. Exactly a week later, I saw Kid Cudi. Now that was also a bucket list item because back in high school, Kid Cudi was my go-to. Next to Mac Miller, Wiz Khalifa, Kid Cudi was up there. And when he was touring, I think this was one of his first arena tours, actually. I'm glad he's finally getting his flowers in the music business, and he's able to sell out some arenas now. That tour was awesome. Jam-packed. The people were vibing. It was a great time. Kid Cudi's so dope. Literally a couple days later, I went to go see Pearl Jam on September 14th. That was also a bucket list item because Pearl Jam, whenever they come around, they always sell out. And for some reason, somehow, the music gods were with me on this one, and I was able to grab some tickets, and I went to go see Pearl Jam, and it was absolutely mind-blowing. Pearl Jam, they're still rocking. They're still killing it. Eddie's voice is just immaculate. Mike McCready's guitar solos are awesome, and just all their songs, it feels like almost every Pearl Jam song is a hit, dude. I love Pearl Jam. One of my favorite things to do is literally on the weekends, sometimes hang out with some friends, sit by a fire, drink some cold beers, and listen to Pearl Jam. It's a vibe. This show was awesome. So great. Highly recommend seeing Pearl Jam if they're ever in your town. A week later, I went to go see Nick Mason's Saucer Full of Secrets. So Nick Mason is the drummer of Pink Floyd. I've seen him once already previous to this show. I saw him in 2019 when he first announced that he was doing this tour. Basically, Saucer Full of Secrets is Nick Mason goes back and plays only pre-Dark Side music. As a huge Pink Floyd fan, listening to anything pre-Dark Side is like, it's almost like a diamond in the rough, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's perfect because you hear so much of like Wish You Were Here, Dark Side of the Moon, The Wall, all the hits, of course. Anything pre-Dark Side of the Moon, which is more psychedelic and obscure, is right up my alley because I love all their music, and the older stuff doesn't really get love. So I saw Nick Mason, and it was called the Echoes Tour, so we played Echoes live, so that was my first time ever experiencing Echoes live. It was an absolutely phenomenal show. So at Nick Mason shows, they do like what they did back in the day when they would do light shows before light shows were ever a thing. They would take oil and color and food coloring, and they would mix it together, and they would project it onto the wall behind them, and they would move it around on a platter, and that was how they projected their light show visuals back in the day. He does that still to this day with Saucer Full of Secrets, and it was awesome to watch. That's how they used to do it back in the 60s before they actually had light shows and light rigs, and they had all this fancy equipment. So that was a really cool experience, and I'm glad I got to experience it again. So the next day, which was my birthday, on September 24th, I saw Australian Pink Floyd. So in 2022, I saw Brit Floyd in the beginning of the year, then I saw Roger Waters twice, and then I saw Nick Mason Saucer Full of Secrets, and then literally the next day on my birthday, I saw Australian Pink Floyd. So I checked off all the iconic cover bands that perform Pink Floyd music, plus I saw two of the original members of Pink Floyd, all in the same year. The only thing I was missing was seeing David Gilmour. Australian Pink Floyd, they were awesome. I love how they incorporate the kangaroo, because obviously they're Australian, so it kind of touches base to their, where they come from. So 3 days later, I saw the Killers live, and they were another kind of bucket list item because obviously I grew up with the Killers. I feel like they also don't tour that much either. So when we saw that they were coming around, it was almost like too good to be true to not buy the tickets. And the other cool thing was too is I bought these tickets around the time they were doing the Live Nation deals, which they do in the beginning of every summer. So I got these tickets for $25 to see the Killers, and it was an absolute killer of a show. I highly recommend going to see them if you can. Okay, so now we're into October. Finally, after doing a crazy run of shows, we had about 3 weeks until our next show, which was Smashing Pumpkins and Janesaddiction. Sadly, Janesaddiction got canceled on that one because Perry Farrell's voice was really messed up at the time. I don't know if he was sick or if he was just dealing with something. He ended up not performing that show, so we only saw the Smashing Pumpkins. The Smashing Pumpkins played an extended set. It was an awesome show. Billy Corgan's voice sounds exactly the same. His guitar playing was great. The light show was great. The band sounded great in general. All the fans there were just having the best time of their life. I was just living my childhood because I grew up on Smashing Pumpkins music. Between Smashing Pumpkins, Green Day, and Blink-182, those are like what I grew up with. So seeing them live was like a dream come true as a young me, you know? So about 2 weeks later in November, I saw the Ledbetters again. So I bookend the Ledbetters for the beginning of the year and the end of the year, which was pretty cool, especially with seeing Pearl Jam in the middle of the year. So that was like just a special moment just to kind of bookend the year and everything. Seeing the Pearl Jam cover band twice and then seeing the actual Pearl Jam in the middle of it, it was just a great way to bookend the year. But the final show that I saw in 2022, number 38, was Greta Van Fleet. I bought these tickets last minute. My brother and his friends at the time bought these tickets for an extreme amount of money, and I refused to do that, and he kept busting my chops. And the night of the concert, I went on StubHub, bought tickets for like $40 the last minute, hopped in the car with them, and went to go see Greta Van Fleet. That was another bucket list band for me. I wanted to see Greta Van Fleet probably since before they even took off and became big and was able to sell out arenas and stuff. I've been listening to them for a while now. I hopped in the car with them and went to the show, and it was an absolute great time. I ended up being able to sit next to them and everything. It worked out great. It was a good time. We were in Atlantic City. It was a beautiful way to end the sanity that was the year 2022. 38 concerts is a lot of concerts, and I totally get it. You're trying to check off a lot of these legendary artists, and you're just trying to go out there and have fun. I love concerts. It's basically it's one of my favorite hobbies. I love seeing live music. Obviously, I love live music, and I have a YouTube channel that is dedicated to music and graphic design. So like, it's just one of my favorite things. Now, I've been doing this for almost 10 years now. I'm about a year and some change off of being my 10th anniversary of going to concerts like a madman. The average is about 10 to 12 each year. 2022 was a special year just because of the madness that was the 38 concerts. They were all great in their own right. I love going to concerts and having fun with friends, family, and just being there and being immersed in the music. I have a couple other years that were insane. 2019 was a crazy year. Saw a lot of legendary people like Bob Dylan, and obviously I got to see the Dead. I had about 11 concerts lined up in COVID years. That got canceled, sadly, but I have that all written down too. 2023 was another crazy year. I want to say I went to like 31 concerts in 2023. It's one of my favorite things to do. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's a lot of concerts. It's a lot of shows. Let me know what you guys think. Is there anybody you would recommend me seeing? Who should I keep an eye out for? Should I go to somebody else? Yeah, leave a comment down below. Recommend somebody for me to go check out. Maybe I'll check them out this year or next year. This year so far, I only have about 10 concerts that we're going to. I think I'm going to keep it a little bit chill this year just because I'm so busy. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you guys like this style of video, maybe I'll do it again. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be safe and always rock and roll, man. Peace.